Alright, let's start sanding this neck. I'm going to begin by using my power sander to do the flat surfaces. Here, on both sides of the headstock, down here at the bolt-on point, and on these edges. So, to do that, I'm going to go ahead and use the power sander. So, let's see how that goes. The paper I'm using is 400 grit. Once that's done, I have some 1200 here that I'll polish things up with. But that will come a ways down the road. For starters, let's get this varnish or whatever it is off of here. It's been a while since I used this thing. Now, who asked you? It's been a while since I used this thing and I had forgotten how crazy loud it is. But stuff's coming off. We're getting down to actual wood. I need to get some more over there. And that should do it. I promise, every time I turn this thing on, I'll turn the volume down. You may have noticed that with the power sander, it goes rather quickly. Let's flip it over and do the other side. Thing always sounds like it's screaming. Oh yeah. Coming along nicely there. We got a couple of spots. Huh. Right there around that hole. I don't know if we got a low... And by the way, the switch on this thing is a little bit sticky. So sometimes it doesn't always turn off the first time I hit the switch. Yeah, we got a couple of spots there that I'll have to clean up by hand. But some by hand stuff is actually the next step. So let's get down here to this end. Finally get this stupid paint off of here, and then we'll start working by hand. And by the way, I know there's an actual name for this part. It just slips my mind right now. So feel free to enlighten me in the comments. All right. Now here, shut up for a second. Here I really want to be careful of the fretboard because I really don't want to sand it. So I'm going to have to be very delicate and cautious with the way I handle this thing. What is up with this paint? I swear that stuff hangs on like there's no tomorrow. This is unreal. No, keep going, that's all I know to do. And then the paper comes loose. That is the thing that happens. So, hold on. Okay, I think it's safe to say that paint was not going to come off there any other way. So, we got one to go here, so let's take care of it. Once again, shutting it off is an adventure. Well, I've still got a few tiny spots here, but the varnish or polish or whatever it was is off. I've got smooth wood, so I'm going to call that good for now. Next, we'll take a piece and start doing the rest of this by hand. Well, this is going to get tedious, so I decided I may as well do it in the comfort of my studio as opposed to out there where it's really getting hot. So let's get started. I'm going to begin by going back and getting the spots that the power sander missed along these edges. Then we'll do the curves here, the hard to reach spots. Then I'll spend the rest of the time going like this again and again and again and again and again, and I won't make you watch it. Let's get started. Oh, before we begin, there is one thing. This is the toolkit I was talking about. It says iWork Smartphone Repair Kit, intended for use on most handheld electronic devices. You can see the gadget that I was using right in there. It's got a bunch of specialized screwdriver tips, a driver here, and a couple of other things. It says it's an iWork Smartphone Repair Kit, part number 88670-212 if you're interested. It says iWork is a registered trademark of Olympia Tools, and apparently that thing I was using is called a mini pry bar. I'm going to call it a scraper. But yeah, if you're looking for a whole bunch of handy stuff like that, go to a cell phone store or an electronic store somewhere and pick you up one of these. I can't count the number of times I've used some weird widget in there in ways that they never imagined. No, don't take that the wrong way. So some people have asked, how does my wife come to be playing bass guitar? Well, that actually is an interesting story. I had a band in Arizona. We called ourselves Delivered. Yeah, if you've ever heard that song about the band that just couldn't get it together, the guy on the left was in the middle, and the guy in the middle was on the right, and the guy on the right was on the left, and the guy in the rear was a monarchist or something like that. Yeah, we didn't know it at the time, but that was us. Anyway, we managed to put together some fairly decent music, and we actually secured a gig. A bookstore in a nearby town asked us to come play an outdoor concert that they would sponsor. And so we said, okay. And we got all prepped. We put together a couple of 2 hours. Okay, let me try that again. Wordsing is hard, as you know. We put together enough for 2 hours of music with an intermission in between. And we were all set to go. We were practiced. We were tight. And 2 weeks before the gig, our bass player got mad at us for something and quit. So that left us with nobody. My wife, Kathy, was a backup singer at the time. Basically, we consisted of 3 married couples. The guys playing instruments and the gals singing. Bass player was the odd man out because he just sort of happened to be there, and we needed a bass player. So all of a sudden, we don't have him. And Kathy and I were talking about it one day, and she said, well, I guess we'll just have to get somebody else to do it. And I said, yeah? I'm not sure who. And she said, oh, I'm sure we can come up with something. And I looked at her kind of sideways and I said, you want to give it a try, don't you? And she said, yes. So the bass that he had been using actually belonged to me, so it became hers. In 2 weeks, she learned her way around the instrument, learned that music, and played the gig. There were a few mistakes, but when I explained that she had picked that instrument up in an emergency situation 2 weeks ago, she pretty well got a standing ovation. That is how my wife came to be playing this instrument. And after that band dissolved, she put it down and started following other interests. But here lately, she's decided she wants to get back into it. And so, am I going to encourage her? Hell yes, I'm going to encourage her. Anyway, that is the story of how she came to be playing the bass. And essentially, the rest of the story of why I'm building one for her. So, we got lots of mist spots here that I'm seeing. That's the joy of using a power sander and having dust all over the place. Sometimes you can't see everything you need to see. But that's okay. That's what sitting here rambling is for. Yeah, that band was something else. I basically, it's no exaggeration to say I carried them. I was the only actual musician in the bunch. Our drummer was brand new. He had only just started taking lessons and could keep a beat, but not a whole lot more than that. And every so often he would lose the beat and I'd have to put him back on it. The good part about that was it was easy to do because he wanted to know. And so if he started losing the beat, all I had to do from my keyboard was turn around, look at him, and go, and he was back on. I mean, working with him was great because he had it in his heart. He really wanted to do this. And so we took him on partly because he was easy to work with and partly because he had that attitude and I knew I could work with it. And so he became our drummer fairly quickly.